Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. We open somewhere on Earth with the 11-year-old history buff Kevin learning about ancient Greece. He tells his parents about the 26 ways their soldiers could kill a man with their bare hands. But Trevor and Di ignore this useful information to watch a game show where elderly husbands are dangled over giant bowls of souffle. As the love of Beryl's life drowns in egg whites live on TV, Kevin goes to bed when a knight on horseback bursts out of his wardrobe. It rides off into the forest that spontaneously appears around them before the room switches back to normal and Kevin looks at the same scene in one of the pictures on his wall. Trevor enters yelling at Kevin to stop making all that noise, so the next night he sets himself up on the bed with a camera to capture the evidence. Just as he starts to fall asleep, a party of dwarves exit the closet, so Kevin shines a torch in their face and they all cower in fear. Upon realizing that he's just a child, they all jump him with their little fists and push him against his picture wall, which now moves. Behind it is a long tunnel which the dwarves use to escape from the supreme being who appears in Kevin's room as a giant head. It chases the tiny thieves down the hallway, demanding back what they stole, and right off the end of the tunnel into the void. They pop out of a portal in the countryside where the vertically challenged begin using each other's names, so we're introduced to a few. Their leader is Randall, the trigger-happy one is Wally, and the one eating the live chickens is Vermin. The dumbest one is Ogre, followed closely by Strutter, and then there's Fidgit, who explains how they stole a map of time portals from God. Kevin uses this moment of pint-sized confusion to escape, but runs into a couple of French soldiers as they've traveled back in time to 1796. Napoleon Bonaparte has just sacked the Italian village, so Kevin is stuck with the little people until he can find some way home. They enter the fortress and find little Leon in a ruined theater watching a puppet show and having a good laugh with himself. Their petite height makes him feel better about himself, so when the puppeteer is killed he's disgusted by the other acts all standing over 5 feet tall.
You're freaks!
The stressed out manager is about to off himself when he's saved at the last moment by the arrival of 6 musical midgets and a kidnapped child. However, their performance is horrible, so the manager returns to necking himself until learning that Napoleon is pleased by what he just witnessed. By that I mean people shorter than him, so Nappy fires all of his generals to make the dwarves the new leaders of his army. He spends all night getting drunk and boasting about being half an inch taller than Alexander the Great, that 5'0" wimp. When he passes out, the thieving dwarves steal every piece of treasure in this place and somehow fit it inside a single rolled-up tapestry. They then order the soldiers outside to turn around so they can sneak away with all their wealth, but the former generals who've been left in their underwear uncover the plot. The thieves manage to evade capture by leaping through a time portal and traveling back another 5 centuries to the Middle Ages. A man named Vincent is traveling with his new bride Pansy when the little people crash through the roof of their carriage. It causes them to roll, so the couple take their valuables and run off into the forest before the thieves add it to their own collection. Randall explains that they worked for God building forests but got demoted when Ogre made a foul-smelling tree called the Pink Bunkadoo. They were given the time map of holes in the fabric of the universe to repair, but decided to use them to get rich instead. During this time, Vincent and Pansy were robbed by some bandits, so the dwarves leave them bound to a tree and follow the merry men home. They walk right into a trap where Randall convinces the gang that they're fellow thieves and only wish to meet their famous leader. They've found themselves in Sherwood Forest, where the man in tights himself asks how long they've been robbers, but Strutter says 4'1". Robin is impressed by their haul of treasure but begins handing it out to strangers because of the whole steal from the rich and give to the poor thing. The disgusted dwarves leave while their treasure is being redistributed among the homeless community, so they must find a new source of revenue. They pass Vincent and Patsy being robbed all the way down to their underwear and begin arguing over where they should travel next. Meanwhile, the party are observed through a pool in the Fortress of Ultimate Darkness by a sorcerer known as the Evil Genius. He wants to destroy the Supreme Being and blows up henchmen like they grow on trees, but needs to acquire the map to leave this place. Speaking through Ogre, he convinces the others that the most valuable object in the world is located in the Fortress of Ultimate Darkness. They agree to find it, but God shows up demanding his map back, and Kevin is separated from the rest of the group. He enters a portal and pops out in ancient Greece, where a king battles the Minotaur or some fat dude wearing a bull's head. Just when the man bull pig is about to land a finishing blow, Kevin's arrival distracts it long enough for the king to slay Minnie. He then introduces himself as Agamemnon and brings Kevin back to his kingdom, where the townspeople celebrate the victory. Kevin documents everything on his camera and gets made the king's new heir, since he says he never wants to return to his neglectful parents. During Agamemnon's feast, however, where meat is revealed to be fruit which is revealed to be uncooked birds, the dwarves enter disguised as the entertainment and begin stealing everyone's valuables right in plain sight of their owners. They even steal Agamemnon's crown straight off his head and his heir from the throne before disappearing through a portal disguised as a magic trick. They travel to a luxury ocean liner where Vincent is proposing to Pansy until the dwarves land directly on his head. Without the toupee, his disinterested girlfriend runs away and the dwarves use their newfound gold to buy little penguin suits. Randall tells Kevin that they'll be going after the treasure that Ogre spoke about when they suddenly crash into an iceberg because this is the Titanic. It sinks in a matter of seconds and the pint-sized survivors are left floating in the freezing cold Atlantic Ocean on a piece of wood. Before they can even locate another portal, the evil genius uses his magic to create a whirlpool and bring them all closer to him. They're found floating in the ocean by the ogre Winston, who lives with his human wife on their decrepit ship. He caught the travelers in his cast net but has got a sore back, so the abnormally strong Mrs. Ogre must drag the 7 tasty morsels on board. She prepares her blade to butcher them while Winston chucks the captives into a cauldron, but Kevin notices he's got a sore back, so says he can fix it. The dwarves pull him spread eagle until the pain goes away, but then they hurl the ogre into the ocean and commandeer his ship. They use the cauldron to bump his wife in as well, and the gust from Winston's roar to sail them towards the fortress of ultimate darkness. Suddenly the ship begins to rise out of the water as a giant is wearing it as a hat and walks out of the ocean onto an island. Kevin finds one of Mrs. Ogre's sleeping potions, so they inject it through the floorboards into the top of the giant's head, causing him to get drowsy. Goliath sits down and removes his headdress to take a nap, allowing the petite pioneers to escape the ship into a vast desert. As they're walking along, they bump into a force field, so they all begin to argue that Randall has taken them in the wrong direction. Randy gets angry and throws a skull which shatters an invisible wall, revealing the fortress of ultimate darkness was right in front of them. It spans as high as the eye can see and contains a treasure that the evil genius has tricked them into believing is located here. It turns out to be the Moderna Wonder Major all-automatic convenience centerette from the commercials that Kevin's parents ignore him for. The dwarves can't wait to get their hands on the prize, so they trade the map to the host from the TV, but he turns out to be the evil genius in disguise. He traps them all inside a cage, including Kevin, and dangles them above a bottomless void to torture later, I guess. Using Kevin's group photo of them with the map like the real thing, Randall locates a time rift inside the castle that they can use to escape. Wally and Strutter use some of the excess rope holding them to swing themselves from cage to cage until reaching a ledge. The rest use it like a zipline to carry themselves across the void and almost lose Wally when the cage rope breaks, but they manage to pull him to safety. Before they escape, Kevin convinces them to steal the real map back to prevent the evil genius from using it to take over the world. He turns one of his minions into a dog to guard it, but he doesn't even bark when he sees the thieves enter and Ogre swipe the map. Before they can escape, however, the evil genius uses his finger guns to cast a spell on Ogre and turn him into a pigman. The demonic cultists who shoot fireballs from their eyeballs chase them down, so Kevin and Ogre volunteer to lure them away from the others. They're captured by the evil genius, however, so the boy threatens to burn the map if he doesn't call off the minions. Evil obliges and blows every single one of them up, including the dog, but turns Ogre into a full-blown pig when he tries to run away. He swipes the map in Kevin's distraction, but before he can use it, the dwarves arrive with backup from each time period. There's even a few we didn't see, like Wally in a spaceship, and the cowboys lasso the outnumbered villain while talking about lynching him. Evil just spins them in circles and deploys a pole from his head with a blade attached to the end that cuts the ropes and sends the cowboys flying. Next, the archers shoot at him, but Evil turns into a pincushion to absorb all of the arrows, then fires them right back. Finally, Strutter charges at him with a row of knights, but Evil disappears into a cloud of toxic gas and skewers all of them but the dwarf. He turns them into a rather nice display piece when Randall opens fire from the tank and Wally from the spaceship. The villain just deflects all their shots, then turns the vehicles on the dwarves themselves, causing a pillar to collapse on Fidgit. He's crushed to death, but before the evil genius can harm the rest, he's suddenly scorched into a charcoal statue upon the Supreme Being's arrival. God just resurrects Fidgit and turns Ogre back into a 4-foot human before claiming that everything went exactly how he planned. He only let the dwarves borrow the map so they could put Evil to the test, and instructs them to gather all of his charred remains into a postal box. The fun-sized friends all return to heaven while Kevin is left in a smog released by an unnoticed chunk of Evil. He wakes up with firemen bursting through his door just in time to save Kevin as his house is burning down to the ground. Diana and Trevor have no concern for their son's safety, so Kevin thinks it must have been a dream, but the Polaroids of his adventure say otherwise. One of the firemen, who is the spitting image of Agamemnon, discovers the fire was caused by the chunk of Evil inside the toaster oven. Kevin warns his parents to put it down, but they never listen to him, so explode, leaving behind one very confused orphan. And the movie ends.